it's brutal. You were just getting abuse. You'd get death threats. You got death threats.
Man, I got letters through the door saying, we know where you live, we're going to burn your house down.
Yeah.
100% of the clients that I've worked with on fertility goals have restored their fertility.
There seems to be these camps with online coaching. It's either I'm a really good coach, but fuck sales and marketing, or it's all about sales and marketing, fuck being a good coach. I'm like, you know what, guys? Funny enough, there is a place in the middle where both things exist.
I've only ever made content on things that I needed the answer to.
Yeah.
I've found the answer, I've enjoyed finding it, and then I've made some content on it.
Your desires may change as you go as well. So
That's certainly what happened to me.
Yeah. When I started coaching, I thought I'll be happy with a certain income. And now I've got to income levels that I'm more than happy with. And it's not even about the money anymore. It's about, for me, I go, it's because I'm enjoying building this thing.
The point was, I was illustrating that I started coaching and it took best part of 5 or 6 years for me to have like more than 5 clients.
People that had acne, had gut dysbiosis, comparatively to people without acne.
I'm freezing my sperm whilst it's fertile. Doing that this Friday, boom, that's done. We're gonna do artificial insemination, probably do IVF. Yo guys, welcome back to another episode of the Doghouse Chats. We are back in the Doghouse now. The reason why I'm saying that, Matt, is last week we recorded a Doghouse chat in the hen house. Hen house, from the Doghouse to the hen
There's
house.
a joke there somewhere.
Back, was it 3 days ago?
It's Wednesday.
Gosh, it feels like ages ago.
What day was it? Sunday?
Oh yeah, Saturday.
Oh, Saturday, 5 days ago, Jake. Come on. It's
Yeah,
Wednesday.
5 days ago. That is some time past. Anyway, as usual, we've got some topics to run through today, but it's going to be pretty relaxed and hopefully there's some stuff in there that has utility for you.
First question I've got, actually, before we get into it. What number is this? I've got no idea.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't even matter. Jake, you got any idea what number this is? No idea.
Numbers are just a construct of human imagination.
That is. So's time.
The only thing we currently have is now. So
let's call it a day.
Let's enjoy the moment.
I'm just curious. Go on.
So, one thing I wanted to talk about, firstly, and this would be right up your alley, Matt, is I did a story post, or a bunch of story posts. When was it? Sunday night, maybe? Where I kind of relived my career.
I said, yeah, message you on that.
All the way back. I found a picture of me when I was 16 with Dorian, which was when I was like, that's how deep obsessed I was with bodybuilding at 16 years old. I'd already been into it and obsessed with it for a couple of years and blah, blah. Besides the point. The point was I was illustrating that I started coaching and it took best part of 5 or 6 years for me to have like more than 5 clients. And any day I could have given up because every day I felt like quitting because I wasn't making enough money to get by. Like talk about being dead broke and the overdraft fully stretched and not knowing how I'm going to pay the bills and whatnot. But I did keep pushing forward. And then all of a sudden, it was literally in the space of a couple of months, I went from like 6 clients to 60, whoosh, like that. The point isn't me trying to be some kind of motivational speaker or something. The point is that I got so many messages. I know that's the thing people say, isn't it? I got loads of messages. But I got so many messages from people just saying like, bro, I'm so glad you said this because that's me now. That's me now. I can't seem to get more than X clients. I've been losing clients. I'm blah, 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 whatever. So first point is, it's easy to look on social media and think that everyone's flying when they're not. There's definitely less people doing well than there are people not doing well. So you're not uniquely suffering there. So that should at least relieve some stress that it's not some fault of yours, you know. It's not an inherent fault. And it's not easy. Point being, I wanted to ask the man who knows far more about business than me what advice he would give to those people. Because when I look back, it was luck, really.
Nah, I'm going to disagree with you, Joe. Because for anyone who hasn't seen this, go over to Joe's. Hopefully he's going to make it as a carousel post.
It's a highlight. It's a story highlight. I will make it a carousel post. I need to get Jazz to show me how to. Because
this is half your problem.
I did originally make it as a carousel post, and I went to post it. I was like, "Fuck! All the text doesn't fit."
So when I saw this, I said to you, put this as a carousel, and the thing I'm gonna blow smoke a bit on Joe for a minute here.
Go for it, man.
I think the problem that a lot of coaches have, right, and the thing that Joe worked through is unless they see that immediate gratification, right? I've seen it before when someone's gone, I'm a coach, I've got spaces, and no one bites, because I'll explain why in a bit, no one will, and they haven't got anyone going in, they just stop. It's like, it hasn't worked first time, and I'm going to stop. The reason Joe was really successful is because his immediate focus was being good at his job. He thought, well, I'm just going to focus on learning, becoming better, and he never deviated from his thought process, even though a lot of people were disagreeing with him. And you have to remember that when Joe started in this, everyone was on the very much a bro science route, very much this is why you take these drugs. Joe had a completely different view. And forum world back then, like if the coaches of nowadays existed back then, they would just quit, because it's brutal. You were just getting abuse. You'd get death threats. You got death threats.
Man, I got letters through the door saying, we know where you live, we're going to burn your house down. Yeah.
So, and this is just over opinions over drugs, training, nutrition on the internet. So it was a different world back then. But Joe never deviated. He had his path, and he stuck to his path. And looking back, we can all sit there and do things differently, but he had a very clear idea of who he was speaking to. I'm speaking to bodybuilders. This is the education information I'm putting out there. And he was relentless, boom, 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 boom. And then if you are relentless and you just are consistent and you don't give up, you will eventually, at some point, there will be success. It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years. There's always going to be, if you're doing the right thing, you're going to crack it down. And if you've ever seen someone split a log, or you've seen someone, probably even better, to split a boulder, when they're hammering it, you can't see any change, nothing. And then all of a sudden, it's this one tap that breaks it. Or another analogy you can give is a pot of boiling water. If you looked at a pot of boiling water, from 0 degrees to 99, the state stays the same, right? It's just water. But that 1 degree from 99 to 100 is what boils it. So which temperature change did it? Well, everyone's going to say it's the final bit, but it's all of it, right? You have to raise the temperature up. Exactly the same in business. So it wasn't luck, Joe. I'm going to have to fight you on that one, because it was you being relentlessly consistent for a long period of time. And then when the conditions were right, because you have to imagine, sorry, it's going away.
It's moved the mic.
It's gone. When the conditions are right,
building work.
Yeah, something's just IKEA desk gone. Yeah. When the conditions are right, because you have to remember how long you've been coaching now? 10 years?
10 years, yeah, full time.
The world is
full time.
Yeah, the world is different right then. Like now, everyone understands the benefits of an online coach. Back then, it wasn't really a thing. So when the conditions were finally right, and you're there, and you've prepared yourself, then it's go, and it becomes this exponential rise. And now people go, Joe's lucky, is he? Or was it was all the work that you didn't see? Now you just see the tip of the iceberg. So I think for any coaches out there, it is just consistency. And so to go back a step, the stuff that will make your business or break your business, and me and Jake were speaking about this yesterday, it isn't necessarily the sales. It isn't even how good a coach you are, which is super important, and we'll come on to that. It's going to be your mindset. Can you post every day for a year and not get a single fucking result, as in a client inquiry or something like that? Do you give up then? Can you show up every single day on your Instagram, on your stories? Can you consistently, regardless of how shit your day is going, turn up for your clients? Can you work every single day? Most people can't. And if you can't, you might as well give up now. And I don't mean that in a look at me, like we're amazing sort of thing, but that is kind of the reality of the situation, is you just need to show up. If you can do that, cool. If you can sort of not chase the next shiny object, I'm going to now do this thing and that thing, you can stay focused on the path, you'll be successful. If you can not constantly compare yourself to everyone else, because then you're going to feel like shit, like comparison's the thief of joy. As Joe said, everyone looks like they're doing well, but they're not. There's I wouldn't say very few successful coaches in the UK, but as doing as well as they would like to make out, there's not that many. So there's a lot of the stuff that goes on up here that's going to dictate how well your business does. And luckily, Joe's got all that. I think there's a lot of similarities between physique development and business, doing well as a coach. If you're willing to just turn up, do the thing, and be relentless with it, you're probably going to have success if you can apply that same mentality for business. But a lot of people can't do that, Joe. So give yourself some fucking credit, because it's not luck. There's no luck in turning up for 5 years straight every single day. That's not luck. That's 1,500 days of pain.
I was thinking about that. It got me thinking. It's quite an experience to look back on like old photos and stuff, isn't it? Because it really took me back to those days when, you know, I wouldn't have any check-ins to do, but I would work a full day. I would sit, I'd learn, I'd write articles, I'd post, I'd reach out, I'd do whatever. But the thing is, when I talk to a lot of kind of younger or newer coaches now, and try and say this as non-philosophically as possible, there's always a resistance there. It's a bit, I can't think of what to post. I'm struggling with it. Everything's like high effort. When I think about myself back then, it felt effortless, because it was all simply what I was passionate about, and my focus just fell there. So it was what I wanted to do, so there was never any resistance. Every article I wrote, every little Loom seminar I did and lecture and whatnot, it was effortless. And I would encourage people, there's an Eastern philosophy called Taoism, right?
Yeah.
And one of the big concepts in Taoism is called Wu Wei, which roughly translates as like non-action. But you'll see this term of like effortless action. That doesn't mean not making an effort with anything that you do, but it's how everything should just flow as according to its nature.
Yeah.
And I would encourage people to think about their role as an online coach more like that, rather than a rigidity. If there's something that you're really passionate about, no matter how niche it is and whatnot, go where that kind of feeling takes you. We've all been in that flow state where time just seems to disappear. You know, when you're doing something that you're really interested in and you enjoy doing, time disappears and suddenly you've got this huge catalogue of incredible work. That's where I think people need to focus in on, because the online coaching space become very rigid. You know, post these carousels on these things that's been generated probably by ChatGPT on the same old shit, training volume, training frequency, you know, and the hamster wheel just goes round and round and round. We don't need any more of that. Look deep within yourself to find something that really speaks to you.
There's another Eastern philosophy. I don't know if you ever heard Ikigai.
Yeah. Ichigai.
Ichigai. Well, I call it Ikigai because obviously I don't know Japanese, right? But essentially it's a overlapping, imagine like Venn diagram, where it's like what you're passionate about, what you can make money, how you can help others. And it's like your true thing. I think there's one more, but your true thing is in the middle. And it's very similar. And for any coach listening and you're struggling with content ideas, the reason you're doing that is because you don't know who you're helping. And if you're very clear on that, so when you started, you were very clear on who you wanted to help, or at least the message that you want to get out there.
Do you know who I wanted to help? Me. And that's what has served me for the whole career. I've only ever made content on things that I needed the answer to.
Yeah.
I've found the answer, I've enjoyed finding it, and then I've made some content on it. So I've never, in 10 years, run out of content ideas. I've got a list on my phone of like over 100 points for us. That's
a really good metric. It's like, that's what I do. I help coaches because I'm a coach. So I know exactly what it's like to live that life. So if you don't know what content to make, you feel lost, you don't know what to do, think about who you want to help. And that's a really good proxy is you from 5 years ago, for example. But ultimately, you don't know who you want to help. If you know who you want to help, it's getting that message out from point A to point B with zero filler. And another analogy, because I like to think of these things, if you have a stick of rock and you crack it, you have a message inside it. That's what you want you to be with your message. You want, anytime you speak, you deliver something, it's like cracking a stick of rock and you can see that message running down the core of it. So whenever I say about something, it's something that I truly believe. So therefore, thinking about content, I don't have to think about it. I'm just saying what I believe. Same for you, Joe. You're just putting out from A to B.
And those people, other people that are interested in the thing that you're putting out on will come back, and you can let it evolve with your character.
100%.
Like if I look at myself over the years, where I started was just pure bodybuilding. I didn't care about nothing else. Getting people as huge as possible and as shredded as possible by any means necessary. I'm going to do it better than anybody else, and that's all I cared about. And as time's gone on, let's compare that to me now. You know, in the last year especially, where I've had to do some soul searching, you could call it, I became really interested. I mean, I was interested in philosophy anyway. It's what I studied and whatnot. But I've become really interested in Eastern philosophy and was spending the majority of my day doing what is native to my character, which is learning things. And I thought, wow, this is blowing my mind. I want other people to know this stuff. So I started putting it out. It's got nothing to do with bodybuilding. But what did I do? Take some of those Eastern practices from Zen Buddhism or Taoism or whatever, see how they apply to a bodybuilding setting, put some of that out as content, and what do I get back? I've had a huge surge in the last couple of months of people. Wow, that really spoke to me. I want to learn how to bring that into my practice, bring that modality in to pull stress down, manage this, manage that. That's really helped me, Joe. I want to get a consult on that. And if you said to me 10 years ago, bro, 10 years, you're not going to be talking about trenbolone anymore. You're going to be talking about meditation or something like that. I think, what the hell happened to me? But just the same, the business comes just the same. The business comes and it goes, you know, because you attract like for like. And that's what I mean about finding the thing that you're passionate about, letting it consume you, and then putting that out there, and it attracts the same kind of thing back.
If you want to be kind of tactical about that, like what does that look like? Because we're talking that's a very high level concept. I like to break things down in terms of like strategy and tactics. So strategy being the high level thought process, tactics about how you go and implement that thing. If you think about what we're saying as a strategy, quite simply, it's I've got an audience, i.e. you from 5 years ago, and I want to help them. And that's something I would really focus on is instead of thinking about how much money can I make, how can I do this thing, think about how can I be of service to that many people? Because it's going to change your mindset of how you deliver it. It's going to make it entirely more enjoyable, and you will end up making more money doing it that way anyway. I can guarantee you that. If you make yourself as useful as possible, you'll make more money. So you've got an audience, and then you think about, we're talking about this naturally, but what sort of character are they? Right? What's their psychographic? What's their demographic? Demographic being the type, the individual. So male, female, age, where they live, training experience, training age, all that sort of stuff. That's someone's demographic. Think about what comes across on your voting, like your voting form. Whereas, like a census, whereas the psychographic is a type of person that you are. So what do you hold valuable? What do you like? What do you dislike? What do you do for fun? If you blend those two things in, where that intersects, that's the person that you want to deal with. And if you're speaking to you of 5 years ago, guess what? If you talk openly and you're authentic, that's going to be the people that you attract, as Joe was saying. He's put information out that is useful to him, and he's doing it in his sense of humor, showing his likes. And Joe's not aware that he's doing this, but he's showing his life, his behind the scenes. He's showing things that he's doing. He's bringing people into his world. That shows what we would call personal brand. That's then allowing people to see him, connecting with him. People buy off people at the end of the day, so therefore they're going to be interested and come on board. Then if you add the next layer of what problems are you solving, well, through Joe's content, he's solving problems. He's saying, and he's actually storytelling. So this is something, again, he doesn't realize he's doing, but he's saying, I'm dealing with this problem. This is how it's manifesting itself. This is how it makes me feel as a pain point. And this is how I'm solving it. And therefore, other people who are dealing with that problem as well are going to come and buy from coaching, from consults, from just looking at his page. They're going to buy the answer to that problem. Because any product in the world, anything that we buy as individuals, solves a problem that we have. And if we think of it like that, from a business perspective, Physique Collective, what are we doing? We're solving uncertainty with physique development, other such questions. Coaching solves a problem. It solves the fact that people don't like the way they look, they're uncomfortable, unconfident, they maybe have issues in terms of X, Y, and Z, but it solves a problem. Buying a car solves a problem. Buying even a t-shirt solves a problem. Everything that we do. So as long as individuals, we're putting out the problems that we're solving through our content and we're offering the solution through our coaching services, people will buy that. If we're just selling a commodity though, I sell fat loss, you're going to have a pretty tough time. So you can see the higher level thought processes, what Joe's talking about, how he's delivering it. And then we can look at the business commonalities of things that actually, this is why it works, and mesh the two together.
And when you get there, as you travel along this road and clients start coming in and whatnot, just a word of warning is decide what you want and where you want to go before you start getting close to it. One of the biggest mistakes I made that cost me, I'm not going to say mistakes, so I learned from it, cost me a lot of time. Now, this would be unusual. Not many people will be in this position. But, you know, I found myself, you know, I went through that boom with clients, then over the next year just continued, and I started getting great stage results and whatever. And then now I'm up at, I think I was doing like 145 something clients a week, plus consults. I'm working 7 days a week, 13, 14-hour days. And that wasn't even an aim. It almost unconsciously ended up there. And I was like, fuck, man, I'm living somebody else's life. I don't want this. I've got a complete imbalance of doing and non-doing. It's philosophical again. We can get even more philosophical. A yin deficient life. It's too much yang. But anyway, you know, I got there and I thought, man, the reason why I started doing this was because I saw an option where I could only work for 3 or 4 hours a day, like deep work, and spend the rest of my time on things that I love to do with people that I love, and, you know, it pays really well, so, and I'm passionate about it and whatnot. And you end up in this place where you've forgotten the whole reason you got into it in the first place. And it's not as easy as it sounds to come down from there. It took me a long time to get to where I am now, which is where I've got such balance in my life, and I've got more than enough. I think that was the biggest thing for me. It was like, what is enough for you? And it's going to differ. Some people, like Matt, he wants to earn a lot more money than me.
I'll be honest, it's not even about the money.
Or, yeah, you love to do, we were just talking about this earlier, you love to do the long work days and whatnot. I'll be honest, I don't like working long days. And that almost sounds criminal to say in a Western world. But man, I've done it for years, and it's not the way I want to spend my life.
I think there's definitely it's a lot to deconstruct there, to be honest. I think I would definitely agree with Joe. And again, just from a strategic standpoint, decide what life you want. So when a coach comes to me and they're like, talk me through what you want to do in business. And they'll say, I want to earn 10 grand a month. I'm like, right, what lifestyle do you want though? Because 10 grand might be way too much for what you want. Say you just want to live in Thailand and you want to have a certain amount of life expenses and all this sort of stuff. You might need 3 grand a month. Or you might decide that you want to live in Dubai and 10 grand a month, the lifestyle that you want, go into all these beach clubs every day. That's not even going to touch the sides. So what life do you want? Because everyone's got these numbers, 10, 15, 20K a month. That's not the question you should be asking. It's like, what lifestyle do you want? And what amount of finances are going to facilitate that? So in Joe's case, you end up kind of chasing it a little bit. And I'll come back to that because I don't mean chasing the finances. You end up just chasing coaching. It happens. You're letting it happen to you. And then you realize at some point, this isn't actually what I want. And that's a deliberate thought process that you need to, okay, now I know what I want. But I also think there's an element of imbalance that you do need. It's like a homeostatic mechanism in the body. You don't have perfect blood glucose all the time. You have to go up and come down, and you hope you find a balance again. That's how homeostasis works. It's like any negative feedback loop. There will be a kind of a case of rewriting itself. So you need to find that point. And I've had points where I've worked too much and I've worked too little, and you kind of find out where that is for you. But it's the lifestyle design. Decide what outcome you want first. Like, you don't go into a diet going like a contest prep diet. You're like, yeah,
eat as little as possible.
Yeah, don't know what I want to look like.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you know what outcome you want, so then you can design that kind of macro cycle to fit that. I do think there's an element with coaching. Your desires may change as you go as well. So
that's certainly what happened to me.
Yeah. When I started coaching, I thought I'll be happy with a certain income. And now I've got to income levels that I'm more than happy with. And it's not even about the money anymore. It's about, for me, it's because I'm enjoying building this thing. And I actually think I've got more of a positive impact to make. And of course, money's great, right? I'm not going to sit here and say it isn't. But I'm at the point now where client numbers are pretty much capped. I'm not looking at expanding down the coaching route. I'm hoping that we can bring up Physique Collective to a greater level, have a bigger impact there, have a bigger impact with my academy for coaches. There's a lot of other routes I want to go down. And actually, the idea would be to buy time back. Not because I want to work, I don't want to work more necessarily. I want to be further reaching with my content.
That's such a key thing to consider, because if you're looking to coach, but then you also want to do podcasts, like what are we doing now? This is hours out of the day. If I need to go to America to do podcasts, that's hours out of the day. If you're planning to do all of these things and build up a membership site like we have or whatever, and you've got 30 check-ins a day to do, impossible. Impossible. How are you going to do that? So this is what I really started to structure in, was that even on a day that I travel and if things go wrong, like I can still get all my work done. And if the day flows real easy, well, hey, I've got an extra hour to spend with the dogs or with Jazz or something. Hey, beautiful. And that's the way I like to live now.
Yeah, I definitely think you need to look at it. 'Cause I posted a day in the life from Monday yesterday, and it's basically me working. I get up at 4, just after 4. I'm in the gym at 5, or just before, and I'm basically working till 9 at night. And to most people that look like shit, but I'm building something.
Yeah, I did watch that and think, fuck, man.
But to me, that's a really good day, because I think of a day I've gone to the gym, something I really love. I've been out in nature.
Oh, you've touched on some key stuff there.
BJJ.
How many coaches just stop training and?
Yeah, well, this is why I've got a job.
Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah.
All the things across the day, I thought I'm building this thing. I've got purpose. I've got agency. I've got all these things. That's not every day, right? Let's say it's 2 or 3 days a week. The other time, I'm basically, this is a jocko. Discipline buys you freedom. My discipline on those days to do those things buys me time where at the weekend I can spend it with my friends, my partner, right? It's not like I'm not doing something fun today. Yes, it's a busy work day. I'll be working till 9 o'clock tonight, but I'm with Jake, with Joe. We've got dogs here. I'm barefoot in a gym, and this is my job. So it's a hard choice.
But you touched on a great point there. It's like me and Jake on Saturday night. I'm sure we were sat there smoking a cigar, and I said, "Can you believe we get paid to do this?"
Yeah.
I said, "Bro, like I've paid you to come here and set up that camera and sit there for an hour and smoke a cigar." Yeah. Like, I say all the time, I'm so grateful, and I actually am.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for this, and I've never had another job. So this is, I'd never take this for granted.
No.
But my point being is you can craft your own reality. It sounds a bit philosophical, but you can.
It's true.
Working for yourself, the whole point is not to look at hustle culture and be like, okay, that's where I'm supposed to go. You decide.
Yeah.
You decide what you want it to look like. Mine and Matt's lifestyles look probably entirely different, but we both are in the same place where we're doing what we want to do, what brings us joy, meaning, purpose, passion.
I'll be honest, if I didn't enjoy what we're doing, I wouldn't do it.
No.
And you mentioned there, a lot of coaches put this unbelievable amount of pressure on themselves, and they stop training. Like you said, they stop training. They stop looking after themselves. They're constantly stressed. And I made a joke just then. Joe was like, "That's why I've got a job. That's why coaches come to me, because they're like, I feel like this." Like, you're not meant to. This is meant to be fun. Right? It's meant to be enjoyable.
It's the whole point. We're not working a corporate role or something.
The thing is, there's always this is a Mark Manson. There's always pain. There's always shit you've got to suffer through. Just choose your hard. And don't get me wrong, there's points in my day when I go, I need to be disciplined. I need to do these things. But I don't ever not look forward to something. I'm going, this is my choice. And that was a big moment for me, actually. I talked about this on a post, and we talked on a podcast. I had a panic attack last year, and I realized I was sacrificing doing things I didn't want to do because I thought I had to do them. And it was in that kind of recovery from the panic attack, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? This is my job. the reason I quit my corporate job was not to have to deal with anyone telling me what to do.
Sometimes life puts the brakes on for you, man.
Yeah.
I've experienced that in the last year more than I would have liked to.
But have you, as a result of that,
my life's changed.
You changed your lifestyle to be like, actually, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's
you look back in retrospect. Do you know what's funny? Even during those times, I remember thinking to myself, like, it's impossible to believe now, but you'll see this as a blessing, and I do now.
I mean, again, an Alex Hormozyism. If you wanted a life where you were resilient, would you want an easy life or a hard life? You want a hard life because you actually build resilience, and that's the kind of thought process here. But choose what you want to do, and at the end of the day, that coaching, building a business, it's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy because it's not. But there's a lot of things that you can do in order to be successful. But success doesn't need to be this miserable thing that you need to go through to attain.
Right, I'm going to switch the topic.
Switch it out.
Completely different. The most frequently asked question for me in the last week, which is, what was the protocol to regain your fertility, bro? I posted my own fertility results on Instagram weekend before last, and a lot of people was asking me, what did you do to do that? So I'll tell you all for free.
Go.
Can you believe that? Because I think it should be free, open information, because it's nothing crazy. And there's a lot of people on Instagram, not going to name any names, first name might begin with an A, selling fertility ebooks for people that have run androgens. I was talking to Will Dyson about this earlier, actually, and it's just bollocks, man. It's just, I can't believe anyone is charging for, for that information. I'm not going to say anything more. So I'll give you the simple rundown of what's worked for me and what's worked for literally, this will sound unbelievable, but it's true. 100% of the clients that I've worked with on fertility goals have restored their fertility. Not had a single individual who couldn't restore their fertility. I actually don't think, provided they haven't got testicular issues to start with, I actually don't think you will ever not be able to. No, and I've also never taken anybody off of TRT.
No.
Which I don't think you should do either. I completely
I think it's a terrible idea,
So my results were pretty terrible. I was undetectable at first, and about 6 months later than that, I had 9 sperm. Not 9 million. 9. And none of them were motile. I was only on HCG and TRT at this point. So rundown of that, TRT was 180 milligrams, which puts me at about 24 nmol. I know that's a really less than average response, is what it is. And I was on 250 units a day of HCG. So just for context of the HCG, my preference is always to use HCG purely for its impacts on LH. To just about saturate the LH response from HCG, you'll be able to do that at about 250 units per day. If you want to guarantee it, up to 500 units, but that can become a little bit unmanageable from an estrogen conversion point of view. So the question arises, why do people use these doses of HCG like 1,000 units, 2,000 units? That is because, and you see in the literature this happens, that you get some spillover into FSH. So you can use high-dose HCG to get both LH and FSH response. You do need both of them. FSH, I would argue, is more important. However, I think that's a really messy way to do it, and it's more likely to cause side effects, of which I really badly suffered from side effects from HCG. I was one of those unlucky individuals. Dave Lee thinks about a third of men in his experience suffer these, what he termed debilitating side effects. I was one of those people. It changed my whole personality. It was unbearable. Anyway, so my preference for the FSH side of the equation is to use either recombinant FSH, if you've got access to that. I did not. Or HMG. What is HMG? It's a mixture of recombinant LH and recombinant FSH. So just as good. So the HCG alone wasn't really moving anything for me because I wasn't using it in a high enough dose, and I was already really struggling to keep my estrogen in check and was getting all of these psychosomatic side effects and whatnot. So I actually reduced HCG down to 125 units a day, and I moved in HMG at 75 units Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's not a huge dose. To combat the estrogen from all of this, I actually pulled my test down to 90 milligrams, and I introduced 100 milligrams of Masteral. So roughly the same androgen load. To some people this will sound crazy. Masteral on a fertility protocol. About the same androgen load, just pulled down the contributor to estrogen from testosterone, filled the rest with Mastron. I've done this with a lot of clients. It's never been a problem. Keeping, we'll say, to that TRT dose. So we know total androgen exposure is going to be the same. And then 12 weeks after that, my sperm went from 9 to 31 million total. Very motile, everything all good, all gravy. Not only restored fertility, gone way past the reference range into really healthy. So the HMG is the big mover. And you don't. The message I'm trying to put across here is probably twofold. One, you don't need to come off of androgens, and I would probably recommend that you don't. If you come off of anabolics, what you're trying to do is reinstate endogenous LH and FSH production. We've got molecules like HCG, HMG, recombinant FSH. You can do that mechanically.
And they are they're potent enough
Yeah.
to not, you're not going to stop that happening with a dose like that. And in fact, I mean, I'm not suggesting you do this, but you could go a lot higher.
Yeah, you could.
theoretically.
I know what you're on about the androgens.
Yes.
Yeah, I know someone, we all know somebody that was running about 500 milligrams a week and regained fertility in 12 weeks with HMG every day and some high dose HCG. It works. I don't see the point of dragging yourself to being hypergonadal and whatnot.
And also, just from a sheer logistics standpoint, you ain't going to want to have sex. If you're walking around a hypergonadal 2N-mol, you're like, fuck me, this is shit.
No. And I think Dave's onto something when he talks about the epigenetic impact of having a child when you're coming from such stressed, low testosterone environment. Your son's going to come out like a raging liberal or something.
Yeah, what Joe's mentioning is that your DNA is obviously being passed to the child, and your DNA is going to be an expression of your kind of, this is really your state at that point in time. And if you're hypergonadal, if you're in a pretty, let's say a high stress state, we want to use that phrasing.
Yeah.
It could have an impact on the child. And you hear a lot of bro science about when you have a kid on higher dose drugs, they tend to be female.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You hear a lot of these things, but there's got to be something to it in terms of, I'm not saying that thing, I'm talking about just the epigenetic side of it.
Yeah.
There's got to be something going on there.
Yeah, so that's what I did. Look, the thing that brought me back was 125 units of HCG a day, so very low dose. 75 units of HMG 3 days a week. 90 milligram test, 100 milligram mast.
So I'll get some questions I'm going to interview you for the listeners and viewers. In terms of costs, how much does that set you back per month?
Ooh. Well, I was using a Delphi HCG, so I didn't use pharmaceutical nothing as well. So all generic, cheap. I'll be honest, I didn't pay for the HCG.
What HCG is like £35.
It's not expensive. The HMG is the big mover, and I can tell you what I paid for him. If you bear with me,
I'll just fill some time. So, the thing that Joe was doing a lot of, and this is also worth mentioning, is we're looking at the quality of the sperm also. So, diet quality was on point.
Yes.
Not in a deficit. Making sure that antioxidant intake was high. Black seed oil.
Black seed oil was a big one. I actually took
L-carnitine as well.
Injectable L-carnitine, Proviron, and I did take ashwagandha throughout this period because it has some minor evidence that it supports fertility. It's probably through cortisol quenching. I actually don't like taking ashwagandha, and I've since stopped since I regained my fertility. I feel shit on it, man. Yeah, I'm one of those people, man. If I take it, bro, I can't wake up. I'm dragging. I got my blood cortisol checked off of ashwagandha, and it was like lower quartile.
Yeah, see,
I think it probably slams me just way too low. Okay. So per 50 HMG, shipped was £470.
Per 50? What do you mean per 50? 50 vials?
Yeah.
Oh, 50, 70?
50 times 75 IU.
Yeah. Okay.
So, 100 days worth.
Yeah.
I was doing 3 a week. So, 50 divided by 3. So, 16 and a half weeks for £470. And that's all I needed. I only bought one.
That's very cheap.
Yeah, and I've still got a few left in the fridge. So what I've done now, or what I'm doing actually on Friday, is because I don't want to use these drugs anymore, and I want to go up to like 400 milligram a week. You know, I want to roll there, literally roll there.
Literally roll.
So rather than waiting for Jazz to get pregnant now, because we're both fertile, we don't know if we're fertile with one another though, is I'm freezing my sperm whilst it's fertile. Doing that this Friday. Boom, that's done. We're going to do artificial insemination, probably do IVF. But it means I can come off of all that shit now. And also, they keep it. There's a small annual fee. So if you want children in the future, I don't need to do any of this shit again. Easy peasy.
I was going to ask you then.
It's quite expensive, though.
The IVF and stuff is...
Well, even the freezing.
True.
But it's like 400 and something quid. I
was going to talk about the... I get a lot of times when people talk about the cost of HCG, HMG, I mean, not so much HCG.
What's the cost of a child?
I always say, what's the cost of a child? You're expecting that to be cheap. But no, I think it's really good to see. And this is when people book in for consults with me, with you, and we talk about these protocols. It's like, it's the same for everyone. It's not going to be any different.
The biggest cost is your missus in your ear hole moaning that you're not fertile.
Yeah.
That's worth any amount of investment, man. Just get it done.
But yeah, I might have to go down this route in a few years.
Yeah, man. If I could do it again, I wish I knew what I knew now, and I want to say people the same ag because, I was just on TRT and was mashing in the HCG, and it really affected me, man. And when I got my first set of blood work back, I was bowled over. 250 units of HCG with TRT had me at 440 estrogen. It pushed my estrogen up 200 pmol. That's the addition of the HCG, just 250 units a day. Now, that is uniquely high. I've always been one of these kind of quote-unquote high aromatizers. But that androgen-estrogen ratio is absolutely fucked, man.
Do you not get any gyno at that?
No, I didn't get any gyno, but I never get any gyno. Fair. But I was like, you saw me at that time. I don't know, it was the most bizarre...
The thing is, you weren't you, because I remember I said to you, I was like, do you think it's a HCG? And you were like, oh, shit. Yeah. And I was like, Joe's the most
look, it might have been some other shit, man. I might have just had like a mental...
Joe's the most logical person I know. And I was like, I felt stupid. Like, have you not thought about this? And he was like, oh, shit.
I've never felt so strange and irrational in my life. It must just be what women feel like at peak pregnancy, man.
Maybe.
Because
everyone always says baby brain, isn't it?
I like Dave. Dave's got this theory.
Oh, God.
About HCG, that it's a female pregnancy hormone, which is why it makes so many people like hyper aware.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, evolutionary, it makes sense.
Because that's what it felt like, man. Everything to me felt like a threat. And I'm not used to that. Like, everything was scary. All the things that I do on a normal basis. Like, I just had this horrible anxiety all the time. I don't want to say it's just that, but here's the thing. I'm not on it now. And I feel like a normal. Yeah. So, fuck, man. But, like I say, not everyone gets that kind of response. It is common, though. Like, if you search it in Reddit or whatnot, people will say, like, started taking HCG and I've been having this unreal anxiety. And
we've had loads of people on the forum say that. So it's not uncommon.
I wish I'd just frozen some sperm back in the day, man, before my dumb ass.
I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so if you're watching this and you're thinking about going on anabolics, freeze up your shit first, man. Like, seriously. Don't wait till you get to this point.
I've never seen... Yeah, I think the whole thought process of coming off is very antiquated.
It's nonsensical when you have access to what we have.
I think people... It's the same as people saying, I need to come off cycle after a blast or whatever. It's a remnant of bro science. And I'm sure that... Listen, I can't say for certainty there's not going to be some people that need to do it, but I can't see a reason why.
Separate topic again. Did you have something you wanted to talk about?
I was mainly just interested. We've actually covered quite a lot of it because I was going to talk about the business side of it today. Just because I know we've been talking a lot about it falls into business, really the coaching aspect of not trying to just monetize is actually keep the quality. This is something me and Joe have spoken about. We've given seminars on before about quality of coaching. Was little bugbears that I've got at the moment about check-in speed and being present, and it's almost become this pissing contest of how quick can you finish your check-ins on a day, or how quick can you get back to...
How many can you do in a day?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, yes, it is a business, but that
service-based.
It shouldn't come at the expense of you being shit at your job.
Let's say you take your car to get a new tyre and it's done in 30 seconds, but it bursts on the way home.
Yeah, I've just got a real problem with this.
I say that
this community at the moment where it's almost like people posting how quickly they've done this thing. I'm like, that isn't a good thing.
Yeah, 30 check-ins done this morning with a tick on the story.
Yeah, I just think that's not a good thing, right? Obviously, there has to be a time constraint to it because people are paying for a service, and that service comes with a sort of time-bound criteria. But at the same time, it's still got to be good.
You've got to be doing 2 minutes of. You've got to be giving them an emoji response or something.
I mean, I had a check-in yesterday when it had no information in the check-in. And it was still a 4-minute check-in because I'm going on about the importance of getting stuff in the check-in.
Going, put the fucking information.
Yeah. But I'm talking about strategies to be able to get it done. So it's not just me going, oh, next week, bro. I'm talking about, can we find strategies to fill in the form? Do you need any support? Can I help you? Here's my ideas. And I've just got a real bugbear at the moment with, do you know when we talk about camps in bodybuilding? There seems to be these camps with online coaching. It's either I'm a really good coach, but fuck sales and marketing, or it's all about sales and marketing, fuck being a good coach. I'm like, you know what, guys? Funny enough, there is a place in the middle where both things exist. And why not try and do both as well as possible? I've just got a real thing of that at the moment. I know you've been putting out some content recently about being present,
the
quality.
Because that's how you get client retention. Like if I had one big tip, was like, my client retention has always been good. And the kind of feedback I get is like, I love that each check-in's always open with a smile. I love that you always ask me how I am. Or you remember, like I'll say, oh, how did this thing go last week that you were telling me about? How's this person? Hope this went well. You know, and that's why you can't be oversubscribed, because you won't be able to keep a track of all of those things. You know, real rapport with the client. Or even sometimes going off on a tangent. I see you went and did this on this day. Well, I did this at this point and it was great. And maybe try this again. You know, and it could have nothing to do with physique development, but it's the friendship that you develop. You know, like I was talking to someone with both coach earlier, Nath. We're talking about, do you remember this time that we did this and when we went here and, you know, and then look what happens. They always come back, you know, because they've got because Nath, you know, he's moved away from being coached by you because he's a competitor. He could pick from anybody.
Yeah.
He could pick anybody. Why is it me? Because he's had a good experience.
He's got an emotional connection there. Yeah. And as I said earlier, if your coaching is just a commodity, it's just price driven. There's no, it's all transactional. That's not what we want. But think about companies where it's a service, right? We're talking, it's premium. You feel good about it. They know your name. All that stuff really matters. There's a rapport there. And that is massive. And if you want to talk about a business strategy, retention is your biggest friend. And this is actually something really funny. So as much as bodybuilding coaches, I think, are generally terrible at business, right? They're terrible at business. They never really have failing businesses. And the reason for that is it's generally service driven. It's not sales and marketing driven. You'll never really see a bodybuilding coach go bankrupt or like go out of business. They might have like client drop-offs and things like that, but they never really like drop out of business because it's all service driven. They're focusing on looking after the person. Even if they're not the most personable, they're still giving a good service. Whereas if you're focusing purely on sales and marketing and you've got a business model which relies on upfront sales, VAs, a sales team, 2 or 3 bad months, you could be bust, you could be broke. So you look at the contrast between the two. One's very service driven, one's very material driven. The service driven one will usually outlast. And that's an interesting thought. And if you think purely from an economic standpoint, let's say you charge £200 a month and you gain 1 client per month, but you don't lose any clients. Binary example, just bear with me. At the end of year 1, your monthly recurring revenue, assuming you're on a monthly basis, is £2,400 up. The following year, you, again, doing the same. So that over 4 years, that's 10 grand added to your bottom line just from retention. Now, obviously, you're going to lose clients over a 4-year period, but you kind of get the idea. Whereas if your business is based upon churn, in order to get that same level of growth, if you're losing 9 clients a month, every single month you're picking up 10. Not realistic. It's just not a viable business model. But yet that's how a lot of coaches operate. They do all the hard work before they've got the client, and then they go, I've got them now. Well, you haven't. There's only 2 ways to grow a business. More clients, bigger LTV, lifetime value of client. the only way you can improve the lifetime value of a client is either charging more as you got them, which is not really realistic, or keeping the client for longer. Work on being a really good coach and keep the client for longer. My average retention rate is about 18 months on average. So therefore, I've got clients I've been with for 4 years plus. I was with you for 3 years, Joe? The only reason I left Joe is because
it was too expensive.
I couldn't afford it. It's $2,000 a month. You couldn't afford it. But it's because our goals different. Like we completed it as far as I was concerned. So you always want to focus on being good at your job. And I think don't let speed, don't let greed, don't let any other factor stop you doing that. And that's the key to success, in my opinion, is having the backbone of the business being retention and actually being good at your job first.
Yeah.
Rant over, sorry.
No, that's all really good stuff. We've got about 10 minutes left, if that. I wanted to ask you something. It's been an interest of mine last couple of days. You're the skin man. That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah. I just cut people's faces off,
skin
wears
man.
a mask.
You know, like one of those horrible cartoons that used to be on, like, what was it, Newgrounds? Or
Oh,
something.
fucking hell.
Like Slender Man. You're the skin man, bro.
That freaks me out.
You're the man that knows about skin. So I've had this horrible flare on my skin recently. Not really sure what it is. But I've been looking into skin stuff. And I was, do you know what, bro? I have never used ChatGPT. That might sound crazy. But I got it. And I was like, tell me what probiotics are good for eczema and give me PubMed references for each one.
It's really scatty on this.
It fucking nailed it, man.
Did it?
Yeah. I was like, how have I only just... Imagine if I had this when I was writing my ebooks.
I'll tell you what, I've done this before, and you have to check the references because sometimes it makes stuff up.
Does it?
Yeah,
I didn't check the references.
You got to check.
It was a quick skim.
It'll give you like a title of a study. A study never exists, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, so you've got to like double check everything that it puts out there. But
Anyway,
so go on.
Yeah. No, my question was basically for people that, because I think, you know, most people wouldn't think of probiotics when you're thinking of skin health. They're thinking, oh, what moisturizer can I use? And, you know, but when we've got antibiotics, definitely not antibiotics, antioxidants and probiotics and even some kinds of fiber have shown efficacy in skin health and things like that, or things that impact the mitochondria. Like, can you give people some things for their skin that they may have not thought about? You know, people go topical and
I mean, with the probiotic, and I'm gonna talk purely about acne here because my knowledge doesn't really stem
seems
beyond
to
that.
cross over though.
There is this, to my knowledge, when I last looked at this, and this was probably about a year ago, looking at gut health, the gut axis, and the skin. There were 4 studies from memory, and they weren't necessarily looking at certain strains. They just said they had a healthier and less dysfunctional gut microbiome, and they were looking at observational. So saying people that had acne had gut dysbiosis comparatively to people without acne. So there's obviously there appeared to be some form of crossover where gut health was linked towards acne. Whether that was causative or anything like that, we can draw conclusions there. But from my experience, it's an area that you may as well try and look at. So I just tend to be fairly broad brush because they didn't necessarily look at any, again, I'm going from memory here, go for any specific strains.
There is some research on eczema and specific strains.
There is definitely on that, yeah. And I imagine they're probably quite similar, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I think anything that's going to promote gut health, so prebiotics, so like fermented foods, things of that nature, obviously making sure there's enough dietary fiber, making sure that we've got probiotics. I like to, personally, way I go about probiotic use is I have a big, a kind of aggressive spike using something like VSL3, which is really strong. And then once I've kind of gone through that initial, almost like the equivalent to creatine loading, then I'll just use a pretty broad strain one. I've not seen any reason to not do that. I've got no kind of scientific backing for that, if I'm being completely honest. That seemed to work quite well for me.
I know you use the Now probiotic.
Yeah.
That contains all of the strains that have scientific efficacy for treating eczema.
That's the reason I use it, yeah. Well, not anything I've seen, specifically because I've got folliculitis, there was thoughts that it certainly contains staph, so S. aureus. They were the ones that seemed to have some benefit there. So that's the reason I use the Now one. And obviously there's some crossover there to eczema. But if you're sort of dotting your I's and crossing your T's, it just makes sense. Now, other things I've seen people talk about are like estrogen modulators like DIM. I'll be honest, estrogen looks like it's only acne protective.
Yeah.
So I get a bit of a
estrogen detox. You know, there's these functional. Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
Functional health practitioners that are talking about like
mold and CFS and.
I'm sure there's certain disease states where that is an impact, but I've not seen that as skin, and I've certainly not seen estrogen be anything other than just positive in terms of skin.
They'll tell you your detoxification pathways are blocked.
What does that mean? All right, so I'm confused. Just have a sauna, right? The stuff that I would say is off the beaten track when it comes to acne, and this is stuff that's going to be a mix of anecdotal, just from my experience of having a lot of acne consults, and just I guess reading between the lines. So I certainly am a big proponent of things like non-biodetergents. I think that's a big one. Weirdly, and I see this play out time and time again, onions. So avoiding onions seems to reduce the prevalence of certainly whitehead type spots. So if you're someone who gets really oily skin, whiteheads, onions will always exacerbate that in those individuals. I don't know why. I've got no understanding of why that happens, but so there's something there, whether it's a vitamin overexpression or there's something to do with it specifically, but that seems to be a thing. Definitely see a lot of benefits with topical treatments, so like retinols, really, really effective. Really think that works very well, especially for like scarring as well.
And retinoid cream.
Retinoid cream,
efficacy,
and I'm gonna say something which is probably a little bit controversial. I think the fear of Accutane is massively overreported.
Come on, man! I wrote a post on this ages ago.
Did you? I've seen this.
Where we go through the research and, I think like most things, the dose is in the poison.
100%.
I found loads of good evidence to show that 5 milligram a day has real high efficacy, and I think the problem becomes people are prescribed 20 milligram, 30 milligram straight off the bat.
Do you know what the dosing is?
What do you mean?
As in how high you're meant to go with Accutane dosing?
Oh, probably in the hundreds.
It's 1 milligram per kilogram.
Yeah.
And that's astronomical.
Yeah. So as low as 5 milligram. Like I've had clients that we treat, because I find if I take a client with acne and we get a really robust antioxidant protocol, some probiotics, they're eating properly, stress management's nailed, and then we put in 5 milligrams of Accutane and some metformin or something like that and some berberine, it works a treat in combination with everything else.
Yeah. So any acne treatment, if you look at what pathway it acts on, it's a P50, it's upregulation of the P53 pathway. And P53 pathway is indicated in anti-aging, anti-cancer. It's got a lot of potential therapeutic benefits, and all these drugs act upon that. And you may have heard people make claims like metformin is anti-cancer. What they mean by that, really, because you can't really go and say that, is it has upregulation of this pathway, which seemingly may be in other studies cancer protective. So they're kind of drawing the lines, but all these things are involved in that. And if you have, like you just said, diets on point, and I'll be honest, I've done hundreds of acne consults at this point. Everyone that comes to, they've got bad skin, they're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. I'll tell you that straight away. Their antioxidant intake is little to none, and they're typically the sort of person that's smashing in cheat meals every single week, which are high sugar, high GI carbohydrate, which is going to raise your IGF-1, that seems to be linked to acne. This is, again, all observational. Hello, almost smashed out. So it's a good guitar. All observational. High dairy, again, IGF-1, all observational. And high saturated fats. It's like the trifecta for bad skin. That seems to be a big thing. Like I say, antioxidant intake, skincare. One other thing as well, actually, which is a bit weird. Do you know, like Nike dry fit material?
Yeah.
That seems to, on people with sensitive skin, that rubbing seems to cause that localized irritation, which definitely seems to...
You know, that's what I think happened to me recently.
Might well be.
So it was like after a run.
What sort of top were you wearing? Was it like a polyester nylon type thing?
Can't remember what I had on. Might have been a jersey.
Yeah, because seemingly, like cotton, like 100% cotton, you don't really get those issues. Again, some of this is anecdote, some of this is just experience, but there's a lot of things which anyone that's trying to sell you something massively overblows, like, let's say, the estrogen side of things, yet to see that play out. I mean, if you just talk about ChatGPT, go and look at estrogen and acne and tell me you can find anything to the positive. I can't. But yeah, stress is a big contributor. I mean, if you've ever looked at adult female acne, where adult females are getting a lot of acne, it isn't just hormonal. A lot of it's stress mediated, just because of the impact on the immune system. And sleep, obviously, for that same reason. Generally, if you just think about trying to be like healthy and do all the things that you would do to be healthy, it's going to cover that off. And I guess the one thing that's probably counterintuitive is stop trying to like exfoliate all the time, because you're just causing localized trauma. So that's kind of my experience. And for most people, it's very easy to fix unless you've got cystic acne, and it will require like Accutane for sure, and extended period duration use. But yeah, I don't think Accutane is anywhere near as bad, especially if you take it with omega-3s. So if you're going to take Accutane, make sure you take it. It has to be taken with a fat-containing meal anyway, but make sure you're taking a higher dose of omega-3s. So I would always say for most people, 2 to 3 grams of combined EPA, DHA, aim towards that higher 3. That'll alleviate the dry eyes, dry skin, dry lips. It'll alleviate a lot of that sort of issues that you're going to get.
Sweet. God, we got through a lot today, man.
That was a good one.
All right, guys, hope that you enjoyed that. Any further questions, please pop them on the Physique Collective forum. If you're not on the Physique Collective app, what are you doing, man? It's $9.99 a month. Google Play Store, App Store, Physique Collective, get on there.
We are on there every single day.
Every single damn day. Happily answer all of you guys' questions. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and post this up on your Instagram or Facebook story if you made it this far. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.